Nobody forced them. That's the part that should frighten you most. Nobody held a weapon. Nobody issued an ultimatum. Nobody even raised their voice. They just offered convenience. And the whole world said yes. Think about every system you already accepted without reading the terms. The app that knows your location before you open it. The payment method that remembers everything you've ever bought. The platform that finishes your sentence before you do. You didn't resist. Nobody did. Because it was easier. Because it was faster. Because saying no meant falling behind. And falling behind felt like a kind of dying. The comfortable cage is still a cage. But the bird inside forgets to call it one. Now imagine a crisis. Not a small one. A real one. The kind that empties shelves within 72 hours. The kind where banks freeze and nobody knows why. The kind that makes ordinary people do things they swore they never would. In that moment, that specific terrifying moment, a solution is announced. It is elegant. It is fast. It is presented by serious people in expensive rooms with calm voices and reassuring data. It promises stability. It promises security. It promises that things will go back to normal. All you have to do is register. Just register. And almost everyone does. Because the alternative isn't presented as a choice. It is presented as chaos. A drowning man does not ask who owns the hand reaching toward him. Here is what nobody explains in that moment. The system being offered is not just a tool, it is a gate. And gates do not only let people in, they keep people out. Within months, not years, months, the infrastructure quietly shifts. Cash becomes complicated. Physical transactions become suspicious. The new system becomes the only system that works smoothly, that processes instantly, that doesn't ask you to wait or verify or explain yourself. And the people who haven't joined, they wait longer at every counter. They get flagged at every checkpoint. They find that the world was quietly rebuilt around an assumption that everyone complied. How do you buy food without it? How do you access your own savings? How do you prove you exist in a system that no longer recognizes anything it cannot scan? The one who controls the water controls the valley. Now watch how the defense begins, because this is the part history always repeats. The people inside the system, comfortable, functional, moving freely through their days, they start to explain why the system is good. They say it stopped fraud. They say it ended corruption. They say the old way was inefficient and dangerous, and this is simply progress. And they are not lying, not entirely. The system does work. That is precisely what makes it so difficult to argue against. Because you cannot fight something that is genuinely solving problems. You can only ask, at what cost? And that question gets quieter every year. Not because it is answered, because the people still asking it are harder to find. They have been quietly moved to the edges. No dramatic arrest, no public accusation, just reduced access, slower service, a flag on their file that nobody officially acknowledges, but everybody unofficially respects. The one who does not walk in line does not get fed at the same table. Scripture described this specifically, not vaguely, specifically. A mark, a system, a moment where buying and selling becomes conditional on compliance. Theologians across centuries pointed at this passage and said, watch for it, not as mythology, as a warning embedded in history for a generation that would actually live it. The question they never answered was, would that generation recognize it while it was forming, or only after it was complete? Because the mark, in whatever form it ultimately takes, was never described as something imposed on a screaming, resisting population. It was described as something accepted, welcomed, defended by the very people it was designed to control. And that is the twist that should stop you cold. What if the most dangerous prison ever built is one where the prisoners campaigned for their own cells? The sheep that walks into the pen and the sheep that is driven in, both spend the same night behind the same gate. Think about your own threshold, not theoretically, practically. At what point would you comply? When food becomes difficult? When your children need medicine you cannot access without it? When your employer requires it? When your bank account is frozen pending verification? Most people have a line. Most people believe they would hold it, but the system was not designed to confront your line directly. It was designed to move everything you love to the other side of it. Slowly, reasonably, one small step at a time, until the choice is no longer between freedom and compliance. It is between compliance and watching the people you love suffer. And at that moment, that precise, constructed, inevitable moment, what would you choose? Because that is the question every generation before ours faced in a different form. And the ones who held their line are not remembered as victors. They are remembered as the ones who paid the highest price. And the ones who complied? Most of them believed they had no other option. Most of them were right. The truth that arrives too late is a lantern lit after the fall. So, the only question that matters right now, not tomorrow, not when the crisis comes, not when the system is already built and running and defended by millions,